Alright, so the mornings are still pretty dark and there's not really, can't do any action shots or real vlogging because it's just too dark. You won't be able to see me, so we'll just cut in and out between my talking now and this morning's ride. I don't want to skip on the morning rides because it's so peaceful in the morning. It's so different than riding home in the evenings. So different. The traffic is different. The street is a lot different. It's kind of sketchy because the light I have is on the scale of to be seen lights. It's not really a light that illuminates my path at all. So the street lights actually do a great job of illuminating the road. So I feel like I don't really need a high-powered light, so I like my small one. I don't have to charge it regularly. I swap the batteries I use rechargeable AA batteries in it, so I only have to change the batteries. You know, I change them once a week. I think they'll last a little bit longer using the flash mode, but I just do that once a week. I've got 2 spares ready, so I don't really lose any downtime. Plane going by. I don't lose any downtime. But I don't want to skip out on them. They're really fun for me to watch. It's a different kind of point of view.
I know I'll find you. I will find a way. I will find a way. I will find a way.
So we're mid-January right now. I guess we're in the middle of our winter, but by the end of January, it'll start getting light much sooner. So we'll be able to do a little bit better job with the morning rides. A giant 10-minute long time lapse of the morning rides. Not really much fun. It's nice to have the action shots and stuff right now, but it's just too cold. The footage would be too dark. So a single time lapse is just a little boring. But I still like to post them. You know, people who are interested in maybe commuting to work, getting a feel on what it's like. It's a good way to it's a good way to get a little introduction to commuting to work without having to go all in, because it can be a little bit scary with the traffic, all the gear you might have to carry. But I enjoy it. But I enjoy it. I didn't mention it. I haven't been mentioning it in the vlogs, but I started going to the gym just to do a little bit of weight training. So yesterday I did squats, and my legs and butt are killing. They're so sore. So I'm trying to take a little bit easy on the bike, get the blood flowing without giving too much of an effort. I just haven't worked out in a while, like in the gym, so it usually takes me a little bit to settle in, but so it's a little rough at the moment. So I went again today, did upper body a little bit, so we'll see how my arms feel tomorrow. But basically I started going to the gym because I sit at a desk all day long on the computer and then go onto the bike. So it's seated position to seated position, and then when I get home I might eat or walk the dog, but then I sit down again. So I wanted to change it up a little bit, change the routine. You know, just keep it moving. I don't mind adding. You know, people say, well, you're gonna bulk up. Well, it doesn't really happen that fast, and I'm not winning any races, so I don't mind putting on a little bit of a weight if I do at all. Somebody jamming out back there. I don't see them, but they've got their music playing. All right, let's get back on the road. Alright, so it's day 2 with the new setup. The fenders, a bike rack, and a bike bag. So I switched to that instead of using a backpack to kind of loosen the stress on my back. My shoulder blades sometimes hurt if I've got my laptop in it. So it's just kind of a lot of weight. And much better today, especially on the handling. So I still noticed the weight quite a bit. So my bike was 23 pounds before, and now with all this stuff on it, it's 28. So it added about 5 pounds minus the weight of the backpack, so maybe 4.5. And it really is a big difference, especially on the stop and go. So I've noticed that I haven't been able to time the street lights as well. So the street lights, I know if I can kind of gun it, I can make the light. I'm not able to make those anymore. So I pretty much have to coast for that mile, and it really does eat up your time. So that's unfortunate. But that just goes to show how much like weight really does affect your performance. So let's say I went back to the backpack and got that 5 pounds off the bike. Well, if you're not eating right, if you're not staying active, you could easily add that 5 pounds to your body, and it's basically doing the same thing. You know, you might take the weight off your bike, but then you add it on your body, so you're hurting the motor. So it just goes to show you how much weight really does affect your performance. I know a lot of people, you can spend as much as you want on your bike, and I don't have a problem with that. But at the same time, the gains you're gonna get from lowering the weight on your bike versus the cost is much less on a bike. Your performance is gonna improve so much more if you can increase your own fitness rather than just spending a bunch of money on your bike. So, especially if you're getting into it, you definitely want to start off with an entry-level bike, a road bike maybe in the $1,000 range, and then as your fitness improves, then you can kind of upgrade parts as you need to. Maybe as parts wear out, your wheels, maybe your drivetrain, you know, that kind of thing. You can improve as you go along, and maybe invest in some of the other equipment, better tires, maybe the proper clothing. So you don't need an expensive bike to commute to work, but you do kind of need the proper gear, right? So that's a nice jacket, some gloves, maybe a head covering. You do need those kind of things in the winter, or else you're just not riding. And even midday, I mean, if you want to go out for a ride, I could probably use without the jacket and just use a jersey. But in many places you need a jacket all summer long in the winter, where in Arizona you don't need to. So that's one thing to think about if you're wondering, well, should I invest more in my bike, or you know, maybe some other gear. You know, pay attention to where you're spending your money. You'll always get a much better return on your money by investing in your own health. But at the same time, there will be a point where you'll outgrow your equipment. You know, that $1,000 bike is not the same as a $2,000 or $3,000 bike. And performance-wise and comfort, there's a lot of different things that affect the price of a bike. But if you're just getting into it, don't fall into the trap of spending all this money right off on your bike, because one, you may not enjoy it. There's a ton of bikes on Craigslist and other apps where it's people thinking they were going to get into it, and then after a month they've never ridden again, or 2 years later they've got 10 miles on their bike. So you don't want to fall into that trap either, you know, because that's just a waste. But start out small. This way investment is small, and then you can invest more in yourself, right? If you don't have the motivation and drive it doesn't matter how much you spend in your gear, you're not going to be out riding. So hopefully that helps a little bit for the people who are just starting out, or maybe you're deciding if you want to ride. Don't be tempted to spend a lot of money. Don't think you have to spend a lot of money. It's always best to start out with what you have and grow from there. You know, your priorities will change as your fitness improves. You'll start shifting money here and there, and you know, you'll find the money as your life changes. So hope you guys are getting out and riding. Stay safe. So I didn't do it yesterday, but my chain's a little dry, so I need to put some chain lube on. Today it was just really noisy, so let's put some lube on. I use just Tri-Flow. Pretty much find it anywhere. It's good, it doesn't last very long. I gotta put it on every week or so, about every 100 miles. If I know I'm going out for a long ride, or a particularly dirty ride, I like to use Clean Ride, and it'll keep your chain clean. They call it a self-cleaning wax. So it goes on pretty thick and dries, but you'll be surprised at how well it works. In really dirty conditions, your chain will look brand new. So on really bad days, I like to use this. So I'll always put this oil on first, and then I'll put this on top to keep dirt from going in. But for today, I'm just going to stick with the normal lube. My chain's a little dirty, so I'm just going to grab paper towel. So if I'm not giving my bike a real in-depth clean, I'll just grab a paper towel and kind of wipe it on the sides. Get the big chain ring, since that's primarily what I stay in. It's 46 tooth. Get the jockey wheels. That came off the jockey wheel. It's just road grime mixed with dirt and tree branches and whatever comes off the road. Alright, so that basically just cleans the exterior, so it doesn't get very clean on the inside. But it's not that bad. I wash my bike every 2 weeks, so this is just an intermediate lube. And I don't put lube on the entire chain. I just put it on each bearing. 1 drop on each bearing. You'll use a lot less oil, and you won't have to wipe any excess. Just let it sit. And this way you're not wiping oil all over your chain if you're trying to remove the excess. You use a lot less oil this way. You'll be amazed at how much quieter your bike is just by adding a little bit of oil. Like I said, every 100 miles, or maybe every week, every 2 weeks, depending on your riding, the condition on your riding. I'm in a pretty dry area, so it tends to dry out pretty quickly. So like I said, I put it on every week, or about every 100 miles. Or if I know I'm going to go out for a really long ride, so 40, 50 miles or more, I'll put it on before I ride. And it just makes the ride much more enjoyable because it's so much quieter. Hope that helped.